Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Cyber Back to School session. I'm Elhan. I'm presenter of one of the sessions, and we are going to dive into Introduction to Cybersecurity Fundamentals with Azure CS-900 exam. And before doing that, I want to say big thank you for the organizers of the Cyber Back to School event. You can go and check the Cyber Back to School sessions and speakers. We have amazing list of speakers there. And I also want to thank the organizer, Dwayne, for putting this event together. This is my consequent appearance on this event, and usually I try to convince and give information back to the community in terms of interesting trainings and getting started with security tips and tricks. We'll start with the first step, which is the preparation for the exam CS900, and you will learn more about that while on this course. We'll have a couple of demos, so keep tuned and thank you for tuning in. Okay, now let's move forward. And before going too far, probably you have been in one of my previous sessions. And this is a little short information about myself. My name is Elhan. I'm a Microsoft MVP and as well as Microsoft Certified Trainer Community Lead, helping community and organizations in Microsoft technologies. Namely, I'm focused more into Azure architecture, infrastructure as a code, and security-related matters. I contributed in a number of different communities, and I'm gladly running the Cloud Marathon community as well. You may also see me moderating in Cloud Lunch and Learn events. I'm also co-organizer and moderator there with a great team. And if you want to learn more about my activities and plus become a part of this Cloud Marathoner movement, you are more than welcome to check the blog site, the Cloud Marathoner, and there's a YouTube channel, Cloud Marathoner, that you can also check, which I'm trying to ramp up and bring more videos there. So stay tuned. Uh, Next year, let's dive into what we are going to cover in this session and what you will learn. First, we'll start with your security journey, where you can start, what are the options. We'll consider all the Microsoft security certifications which are currently available and what's the good place to start. Next, we will continue with what to expect on that CS900 exam, which covers security, compliance, and identity related information, but it also a holistic introduction to cybersecurity within Microsoft ecosystem. Then we will check the learning resources for the exam. We will also dive into each exam uh, objective, and as well as we'll have small demos to understand those points well. We are not going to cover the whole course because it takes the whole day to go through the CS900 course, but we are going to pinpoint very important parts that you need to be aware before heading toward the exam, and plus any additional material, which are most of them are freely available on Microsoft Learn site that you can dive into and use during your preparation. We'll wrap up our session with some Q&A, and you are encouraged to put your questions in the comment section. Before diving into the security journey and what to expect, let me give you a small info about company T-Rex Solutions, where I'm gladly employed. It's a company, mid-sized company located in East Coast US, here in the DMV area. And we have a number of federal customers that we are helping with mission critical workloads and processes. As you can see in this diagram, we have some good relationship with different cloud solution providers and look forward for good and curious cloud engineers, data engineers, as well as the AI engineers who are eager to do some meaningful work and help the customers in their mission. Our company also has T-Rex Cares, which is the nonprofit organization that donates to the local causes. So if you are also see them somewhere in this area, just stop by and say hi. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach me. I'm serving as a Director of Cloud and Infrastructure at TX Solutions, and if you have any technology-related questions, um, again, feel free to reach out. Now, where you can start your security journey. Starting your security journey might be overwhelming in the beginning, but having some good preparation plan or study plan can always alleviate that anxiety. And one of the first things I recommend to my students is you need to understand the comprehensive map of where you are starting and where you are going. And in order to do a good, sound decision, I always recommend to start with the fundamentals. And CS900 is actually one of a type course or training that you can take to start it. And it also has a certification at the end. This might be confusing in the beginning when you look at the right side and you see this diagram. Now we switch to a PDF file, which I'm going to share in the comments of this video, where you can see the Microsoft and GitHub certifications. Here, when we are talking about security, on the right side here, you see that we have a number of security certifications. So the one on top is the CS900, which is the Security, Compliance, and Identity Fundamentals. Then we have 5 role-based certifications. They are not the fundamentals for specific role. And then in the bottom top, we have GitHub Advanced Security, which is addressing the GitHub security-related topics and domains. So if you go and visualize that, you will see that it may make sense to start with security fundamentals in the beginning to understand what are the services and what are the security, Microsoft security landscape, so to speak, and how services are connected to each other. And then you can dive into role-based uh, learning track where you can learn more about specific services or domains of securities where you can advance based again on your interest. Again, I'm going to share this link in the YouTube video comments and description. All right, so as we mentioned, we are back to this diagram, and here on top we have fundamentals where we can start. Then there's a role-based approach where you choose the certification that best aligns with your interests and roles. And finally, you can look and check the specialty security certification. In this case, we have one called GitHub Advanced Security. For all the architects who are in cybersecurity field and want to guide the customers in with the latest information, there is cybersecurity architect as well as part of this role-based certifications. I would highly recommend to go and check that. Now let's look at some exam objectives of CS900 that are grouped into the following 4 categories. So first, it starts with describing the concepts of security, compliance, and identity, which is close to the 10 to 15% of the exam. Then you also have a category that's going to teach you how to describe and understand the capabilities of Microsoft Entra, which takes another quarter of the material, and it's a quarter of the exam questions to expect. Then we have described the capabilities of Microsoft Security Solutions, which takes another chunk. Close to the half of the exam material are focused toward that domain objective. And then you have another very important domain group, which is the capabilities of Microsoft Compliance Solutions. And you know, this is going to be the last section, which is also taking quarter of the domain questions and exams. The reason why you want to know that is because once you start learning about the CS900 course, you would see that you have to understand these domain groups in order to assess your knowledge and learn the pieces that you don't know. And in this session of what I will not cover, right? So because this session again is intended for new starters, new cloud engineers, and beginners, we will not deep dive into Microsoft Security Services. We just simply wouldn't have enough time for that. The CS900 itself is not intended for deep dive introduction of services and doesn't measure your hands-on skills. Even though demos are part of this, and you have some simple hands-on exercises, but again, uh, it's not a hands-on exam where you are going to be tested. Again, to rephrase that, the focus of this session will not be Microsoft Azure Core Services or Microsoft 365. You will get more of a first look into the Microsoft security, compliance, and identity related solutions that are spanning across Microsoft solutions to get a holistic view of security solutions in Microsoft portfolio of solutions. That said, let's dive into first group of the domain, which is describing the concepts of security, compliance, and identity. So it's of course it's going to start if you have been in this field for a little while, you know that defense in depth uses a layered approach to security. And the one diagram that we have on the right side, it's a layer of defenses that usually you have in any system, starting with physical security and ending up with protecting the data. And data is the most valuable uh, asset that most of the adversaries and malicious actors are trying to get from your company or from the organization that you are serving and protecting. Uh, so as you see, defense in depth uses the layered approach to the security. It's rather than relying on single perimeter. A defense in depth strategy uses a series of mechanisms to slow down the advancements of an attack. So if there's an attack starting on the layer of identity and access, that's one layer where you put the authentication, authorization, and other perimeters to stop. If it's not enough, there's a perimeter, there's a network, uh, there's access to the resources, there's a network compute. There are all the layers where you try to slow down the advancement of attack and uh, give some time to your team to react. So each layer provides protection so that if one of the layers is breached, a subsequent layer will prevent an attacker getting unauthorized access to the data. This is also in line with zero trust principle where it assumes a breach, right? It dictates us to verify explicitly based on all available signals. It employs the principle of least privilege access and it always assumes a breach. In other words, in a zero trust framework, we should trust no one and verify everything, every access. And all the different mechanisms like technologies, process, and training are elements of cybersecurity strategy whose goals include ensuring the rephrase, whose goals include ensuring confidentiality, integrity, and availability, often referred as CIA. So if you heard the term CIA, this is C, which is confidentiality, I for integrity, and A for availability. Next, we have, after zero trust model, we have basic compliance concepts. And these basic compliance concepts, uh, you are looking into different type of compliances that are available across the industry. HIPAA is one of those compliances that you might heard about that is used widely on healthcare industry. Um, then we have encryption and hashing. So encryption is the process of making data unreadable and unusable to unauthorized viewers. It's done uh, both on the rest and as well as during the transit of the data. Hashing uses an algorithm to convert the original text to unique fixed length hash value. And each time the same text is hashed using the same algorithm, the same hash value is produced. That hash can then be used as a unique identifier of uh, its associated data. Hashing is different to encryption because when you compare hashing and encryption, they serve different purposes. Uh, and in hashing, we don't use any keys. But during the encryption process, usually you have symmetric, asymmetric keys, and the hash value is not subsequently decrypted back to the original. Once you hash the value or data based on the hash algorithm, you keep it as is, so you are not decrypting it back. Next thing here, we have authentication and authorization, which is very important pieces. And as you know, authentication is all about identifying who you are, providing some type of identity into the access or the service or user who is trying to access, while authorization itself is about authenticating the user or deciding whether that user has permissions to access certain portions of the system. Do they have authorization to do any change in the system? And the finally we have identity, and identity has become a new security perimeter that enables organizations to secure their assets, especially with zero trust framework. Identity is very important pillar. And identity, which when we talk about identity, we are not just talking about the users or processes. We talk about users, applications, devices, and other actors that require to have an identity in order to be able to be tracked and recorded, and as well as in order to have this mechanism where all the access have been authorized and tracked granularly. Now, let's review before jumping to another group domain, let's review a diagram where we are going to look into how to protect APIs. So in this diagram that you see on the screen, we have a virtual network, which is basically a layer of protection. We have DDoS protection service, which we are going to talk a bit more in our upcoming slides. But this is the generally available service, and there are different layers that you can enable. And then for each subnet of this system, we have specific workloads, specific uh, applications that are running there. We have managed SQL that's running in its own subnet. We have a web application firewall, and of course, we have some application gateway that's direct the network within this um, described architecture. So in this specific architecture, what we are seeing is that we have protected APIs that are using application gateway and API management to protect the information. As you see, the any access that's trying to get the information from APIs are going to the application gateway that manage the flow. In addition to that, you have API endpoints that are specified in a specific format, and as well as you have application service environment and AKS subnet where information have been processed for the applications. Again, in this diagram, focus more toward how it is protected. There are layers of protection from software. There's layers of protection from the networking. In this case, we have virtual network and its services like application gateway, and then we have the DDoS protection service. So this gives you some idea that when we talk about security, it's not just one component, but it's several components and several layers that we need to think in advance when we talk about production systems. Next, in this domain group, we'll describe the capabilities of Microsoft Entra. Microsoft Entra is very important service, and previously you may probably heard about that its former name was Azure Active Directory. But Microsoft, as you know, it's a cloud-based. As we move more toward cloud-based identities, this has been changed to Microsoft Entra ID. And while we are talking about Microsoft Entra ID, you also need to make sure that you differentiate that from its previous name, which is Azure Active Directory. And Azure Active Directory has nothing to do with a regular Windows Active Directory, even though there are name similarities, but they uh, serve totally different purposes. And we'll have another architectural diagram where you will see and understand the differences there. And with Microsoft Entra ID, it brings many capabilities, and some of them, as you see here on the diagram on the right side, it unifies the security, access, and authentications to different services. Uh, and in a Microsoft ecosystem, usually what you may find is that authentication capabilities are enabled by Microsoft Entra service, which is showcase on the here on the diagram, and as well as I will have a demo that's coming up next. So you can manage access capabilities with conditional access, and can use the benefits of Microsoft Entra ID roles and role-based access control RBAC that's built into these services. And by identifying the protection and governance capabilities, you can enable certain features of Microsoft Entra capabilities, such as, for example, PIM, which is the privileged identity management. You can enable identity protection and permission management, and different identity governance features that are built into the Microsoft Entra. So that's it. Let's look at the next um, the main group, which is talking about capabilities of Microsoft Entra solutions, and as well as capabilities of Microsoft Security solutions. So when we talk about Microsoft Security solutions, under this umbrella, if we focus on Azure, Azure offers a wide array of configurable security tools that can be customized to give the security and control to meet your organizational needs. There are many different services and features to provide this. And when we look from a protection and investigation perspective, um, the if you want to protect your network assets and resources, you can include into these services DDoS protection, the one that we just saw on the diagram. We have to include some type of firewall service, which is natively built Azure firewall service. We have network security groups and many more other solutions within Azure security within the Azure security ecosystem. For example, one of the products that used to securely manage the keys and certificates is Azure Key Vault services, and its features to keep those secrets and certificates safely uh, without compromising them. In this diagram that you see on the right side, we are showcasing an end-to-end functionality of Microsoft Sentinel, and it comes with these very important pillars where first it starts with the collect the data at cloud scale across all users, devices, applications, and infrastructure, both on premises and as well as on multiple clouds. Then we have a detect, which previously uncover threats and minimize the false positive using the analytics and important threat intelligence that it brings. Once we detection happen, there's investigate phase where threats with AI, where all those threats are investigating using the AI and AI-enabled capabilities. There are hunts where you can hunt those threats and suspicious activities at scale. And you can use the cybersecurity if it's an urgent matter where you are having this incident in the production. You can also rely on connecting with cybersecurity professionals in Microsoft to respond to those attacks. And once investigation reveals that there is an attack, there's a response. And to respond to those incidents, you can build a rapid orchestration and automation for those commonly security risks and threats that you see on your environment. And Microsoft Sentinel can help you to enable that end-to-end security operations by automating all these phases. Okay, now let's review this diagram. This is another reference diagram where we are more toward as you see, integration between Exchange Online, Azure Active, we have Microsoft Entra Connect, and as well as Active Directory. This is the regular Windows Active Directory, and as well as web proxies that enable this. So in this diagram, you see some type of implementation of multi-factor authentication for Outlook desktop clients that access Microsoft Exchange. And there are 4 architectures that correspond for to these different possibilities with Microsoft Exchange products that you see here. There are Exchange Online. There's Exchange Online connection with Active Directory Federation services, there's Exchange on-premises, and as well as Exchange on-premises that's connected to Active Directory Federation services. So in this diagram, black dashed lines that you see are basically showing the interaction between local Active Directory, Microsoft Entra Connect, Microsoft Entra ID, and Active Directory Federation services with the component of Web Application Proxy. So this is just a look into how Microsoft Entra Connect synchronizes the authentication and authorization related functionalities between on-prem, which is the Active Directory service that's running there, and as well as Microsoft Entra ID, which is cloud-based, cloud-born identity service that synchronizes the identities across different environments. That enables not just on-premise applications to work with that identity, but also SaaS applications that depend on it. Now, if you look at describing the capabilities of Microsoft compliance solutions, you will see that it comes with a number of different compliance capabilities that are listed here on the slide. So one of them is Service Trust Portal. It's Microsoft public site for publishing audit reports and other compliance-related information associated with Microsoft Cloud services. And if you have information security officer, they might be interested in those reports and information. Then we have Microsoft Preview compliance portal that brings together all the tools and data that are needed to help to understand and manage the organization's compliance needs. It comes with different layers of roles and responsibilities that you want to assign within your organization. Then we have insider risk management and insider risk capabilities, where organizations understand that risks can come from insiders like contractors or even employees. There's always risks that people might share information with competitors after leaving the company, and organizations need to ensure that the information is protected. And finally, you have e-discovery capabilities, which is the process of identifying and delivering electronic information that can be used as evidence in legal cases, where whenever you have the legal case and you need to hold on information to make sure there's no change, then you wanna check that functionality. Okay, that's it. Let's look at one more group of capabilities, then we'll dive into a Microsoft Entra portal, so you can see some you can see the actual demo there. So Microsoft Security product portfolio is very diverse, as we already mentioned. So we start with the multi-cloud capabilities that are provided with the services like Azure Arc and as well as the other services in Microsoft ecosystem that do that. But the system and authentication and authorization services that enables that are all tied up to the Microsoft Entra, and as well as the Microsoft multi-platform related services that are listed here on this diagram. Again, there are a number of services, and they are not Windows operating system specific. They are across platforms. You can use those services on a Mac OS, on a Linux, and different operating systems that are available there, as you may have different flavors of Linux. Okay, that said, let's look at a demo of Microsoft Entra Portal so you can get some better understanding in terms of what to expect, what you can manage within the Microsoft Entra, and what are the capabilities you can see. Now, okay. Now we switch back to Azure Portal. I'm in the Azure Portal environment. It's Entra, Microsoft Entra Portal. And in this Microsoft Entra Admin Center, this is the URL. If you have access and you type this and put the correct credentials, you will end up in this Microsoft Entra Admin Central. Of course, you can look into overview and homepage to know details if you landed in a correct Entra ID instance. Here you have different capabilities that you can check. As you see, there's a number of uh, identity governance features that you can use. There's a permission management. We talked about preview. We talked about global access and its connections and applications that you can use. Uh, in addition to that, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the things that you want to be aware. So first one of them is users. So if you are managing users and there's multi-factor authentication or any other reset that you need to perform, there are different tools to automate that. But if you are just looking where to get them, then you can use these users where you can see the set of users, you can look at their audit logs, you can reset the password and any other information that's used to manage the users. In addition to users, you have a capability to manage your groups. There might be different groups, security groups, M365 groups, dynamic groups, so you can go and manage them all together, move the users from one group to another group, and get these capabilities. In addition to that, as you see on the left side, you can manage the devices, you can manage application registrations, you can manage roles and delegations and domain services. So when we talk about application registrations, as you know, if there's a third-party application that uses that needs to access to your data or to information within your Azure ecosystem, usually that's done through the app registration. So I'm not going to dive into that, but whenever you are exchanging the tokens and trying to automate services with third-party services, keep in mind that you would need to have some type of application registration. That said, let's switch back to our site. Another thing that I would strongly advise is to check the applied skills. Applied skills is a very handy resource that you can use in order to check the and get all different um, learning hands-on opportunities. You just type Microsoft Applied Skills and then search for the security. You would get a number of security related demos that you can use. And these are more of a hands-on training for specifically focused services that you can use in, in order to get some feel of uh, you know real tasks that you might be asked to do as a security administrator. Next, I want to go through some learning resources to give you some uh, reference in terms of where you can look back in order to get started your cybersecurity journey. And keep in mind that you need to start small, understand the fundamentals, and then the everything will become more and more clear in terms of untangling the puzzle of security services and getting more confident and familiar. First, I would recommend to start with Microsoft Learn modules. And then you may look into exam simulator that's coming with that CS900 exam page. And then you may look into free practice exams. And then you can check some uh, CS900 exam information from Pete Zerger. He's one of the authors here, and you can check his YouTube videos as well. But before diving into that, let me bring up the CS900 page. So if you go here and if you just type this CS900 preparation page and you go to official available Microsoft Learn, this is the basically a certification page for that CS900 exam. As you may see, it has last updated in July month, and some of these updates were very minor, but keep in mind that the name of the course was changed from uh, uh, name was changed to make sure that in the title they have introduction to the Microsoft Security Compliance and Identity. And here's the course that you can go click and check each material when you are trying to prepare for the exam. In addition to that, I talked about practice exam. So for practice exam, before taking this practice exam, I would strongly recommend to go and cover all the modules that are here so you get some baseline understanding before testing your knowledge. Then you get some information about how long is the exam and as well as what to expect during the exam in terms of UI, navigation, and what type of environment would be there before heading toward the exam. You can have exam either through Proctor, um, uh, you can drive to the place where it's provided, like Pearson View is one of them, or you can also have it online. You just need to schedule for that. Okay, I hope that actually helps you to understand all these things. And, you know, if you want to check the poster that I shared earlier, you can check this resource here for all these security exams that are available currently. I want to remind that if you never use the Azure subscription, go and provision one. There is, and once that free subscription of 30 days is expired, you can always use the 40 more than 55 actual services that are available for free. You just need to make sure to enable that SKU and use that one. Okay, we are in the Q&A portion now. So if you have any questions, any comments, please put them into the chat and I will go ahead and address them. Now let's wrap up our session today. So we started with the understanding the security journey, what is there, what type of journey you should expect, where you can start, what are the role-based security certifications, and as well as how you can get more specialty-based understanding of the security domain. Then we looked into what to expect from CS-900 exam, which stands for Security, Compliance, and Identity in Microsoft. Then we looked into some learning resources. We went through the overview of the CS900 exam page to better understand available resources, the modules, and as well as some practice tests that you can use in that page. And finally, we wrapped up with some good learning resources, materials, and as well as if you have any questions, you can always welcome to interact through the chat. You can also actually, if you have any questions, you can reach back to me. So let me share some information. You are more than welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. This is my profile. I'm more than welcome to help you if you have any questions on this. You can also check my GitHub profile where I share information about learning resources and as well as some infrastructure as a code and how you can automate your security response using the infrastructure as a code in Microsoft Azure. That said, here are some of the QCR codes for the learning resources that I shared. If you are using mobile device, I hope that would help you to navigate and start learning, right? Thank you for being here and listening for this introduction to cybersecurity in Microsoft Azure and CS900, how to get started with your cybersecurity, fundamentals. Thank you everyone for being here till the end of it. Thank you for organizers of this event. I hope you can enjoy the rest of your day and bye for now.